In the late 90s, when Dhyanalinga consecration just got completed, voice spread and locals gathered around Lingam. They started offering flowers, diya, some even broke coconut and they touched the Lingam with the hand. And that was the time when Sadhguru asked Swamis to guide people not to do so. At the age when people act, feel and do according to their hormones, Sadhguru Jaggi Vasudev looked too old, almost an old man, unable to speak, walk. Several diseases started manifesting in his body. But he had no concern of how did he look, because anyways he was going to leave his body in a couple of days or months, since the very purpose of his birth, that is Dhyanalinga consecration, was completed. Now, Sadhguru has invested his entire life energies just for the consecration process. Then imagine what would have happened if he would have entered business. How much would he have earned in those states itself, and only through locals, if he would have allowed them to do the rituals and worship in the Dhyanalinga abode, and that too at the time when there was money crisis and the world had no clue about Isha Foundation or any Dhyanalinga. But he rejected, because though Sadhguru consecrated the linga, he said, "This is not my will." And secondly, the Dhyanalinga, the very ellipse structure, looks like another ling or Jyotirling, but it was not meant for that purpose. And the way it was consecrated made it totally different from other lingas that requires worship and rituals. So now we all know that we have entered into the sacred month of Shravan, which is considered very auspicious to offer ourselves to Shiva. So this month, our videos will be rotating around Shiva. And today through this video, we will be knowing that how Dhyanalinga is different from other lingas or Jyotirlinga. Now remember, in this video, I am not trying to compare Dhyanalinga with other lingas, because every lingam has its own uniqueness and it's known for its own divinity. There is no intention of any comparison. So do watch the complete video. Now before directly jumping into the difference, let's first understand the very basic structure of Dhyanalinga. First of all, Indian art is not an imitation of nature in its physical form, but in its fundamental skeletal geometry in terms of how it is built within itself. In other words, it is about translating the energy geometry of a certain dimension of life into a physical form that in some way embodies this dimension so that people can experience it. Now, the very core of Dhyanalinga, it consists of solidified mercury through Pran Pratishtha, which clearly finds mention in Parat Samhita, Ras Ratnakar, Rasendra Chudamani, Ras Chandasu, and many more. The ancient Vedas state that the Parat is the most cleanest and the most auspicious metal that is so powerful that idols that are made up of Parat are comparatively much stronger and more radiant than those made of ceramic, wood, or metal. And most of the references to the goodness of Parat in ancient scriptures are related to Parat Shivling. It is stated that worshipping a Parat Shivling is million times more fruitful than worshipping 1,000 Shivlings. And it is because of this that most of the lingams are mercury based, not only in Dhyanalinga but also in Tirth Kund, that is solidified mercury, in which 99.2% is pure mercury and 0.8% impurities, because laboratories are not capable of removing it. Now, if you look at Jyotirling or any other lingas, according to Shiv Puran and Linga Puran, these are not man-made. They were Swayambhu, but that too is consecrated and purely living. But unlike Dhyanalinga, other lingams or Jyotirling requires daily rituals or pujas to maintain the energy atmosphere. The energy is devotion-based and responsive to faith and worship. Secondly, Dhyanalinga is energized to contain all 7 chakras from Mooladhara to Sahasrara, and this makes Dhyanalinga fully active of one of its kind, a space where anyone sitting silently receives the benefit of all yogic practices without instruction or initiation, because the uniqueness of the Dhyanalinga is that the energies have been taken to a certain peak and logged properly. It does not need any maintenance, it does not need any puja or abhishekam, neither does it need any mantras or any kind of recharging process. And unlike Dhyanalinga, which is sealed and stable, Jyotirlingas are devotionally active and they require ongoing human interaction to stay vibrant, and depending upon the benefit one can derive, there are various types of rituals performed. As per Agama text and oral yogic tradition, a linga becomes a living presence only when charged with prana. This energy can remain stable only if maintained through rituals, devotion, or through a sealed consecration. In the absence of maintenance, the energy field begins to recede or go dormant, though it does not vanish. And therefore rituals like Abhishekam, whether water or milk offering, chanting of mantras, offering flowers and lamps, are not just symbolic, they nourish and maintain the energy field whose vibrancy depends on human devotion in Jyotirlinga. Third, Dhyanalinga, though it has other benefits, it is mainly meant for meditative purposes, as it is manifested with all the 7 chakras in place that represents the 7 dimension of lives. It is a complete system of energy that one can make use of on many levels of life. So in a space like this, rituals is of no significance and out of place. Fourth, though in one hand, in Jyotirling or other lingas, Shiva is worshipped as a deity, but in Dhyanaling, Shiva is being revered as a guru, and so the space is mainly for the spiritual well-being. On the other hand, Dhanalinga also radiates different qualities on different days of the week by which one can also derive benefits. For example, Mondays are important for Shiv Bhaktas, very conducive for people who want to make a spiritual beginning, as the Earth Tattva is very much dominant on this day. Secondly, on Tuesday, since the water tattva is very much dominant, it is very helpful for people seeking purification. Similarly, different days have different meanings when it comes to Dhanalinga. I have given details of all in the description. But above all, Dhanalinga is always and every time open for those seeking spiritual benefit, as it touches you on the level of your etheric body. So it doesn't matter whether you believe or not, this energy, if you just sit there and you're highly receptive, this energy will penetrate you. And with this, finally, we came to know that Dhanalinga is purely meditative. Whoever sits, from whichever religion, whichever country, they can easily access the Guru. He is like a living Guru, or say, the Shiva himself. And that is the very foundation of Dhanalinga consecration. With this, hope this video added some meaning to you. And if yes, do not forget to share this video with your friends and family. And if you loved it, do like and subscribe too. Up to next, stay safe, healthy, happy, and namaskaram.